Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and like. Our series begins with our sweet little Kong, who is sitting in class reading novels, completely absorbed with the novel hidden inside her school book. The teacher comes and sits next to her, finding her laughing hard at what she's reading. He says, "Hey, don't spread your hands like that. Laugh with us." She's startled, and the teacher grabs her book and throws it in the trash, cleaning it up. The trash is taken away, and the book disappears. Then the teacher leaves through the back classroom door and goes to the front door, where the students are gathered, trying to turn on the TV, which is locked with a password because they want to watch a live rocket launch. But the teacher enters, and everyone rushes to the disco, calling for our heroine, whose name is Neon. She looks embarrassed by her imagination. He tells them the two sentences we all know, that she is a new student in the class, and tells her, "Girl, introduce yourself." She says, "My name is Neon." The teacher looks at her to continue, and she looks back. He says, "Enough." He tells her to go sit over there. Meanwhile, Kang's desk is by the trash corner, and she is focused on her novel, not paying attention to what Mr. Teacher says, who keeps teasing her about reading a novel. The next day, our girl goes to school by bus, carrying food and reading a book. She tries to greet Kang, but the driver suddenly brakes, and she falls on him, dropping the piece of pastry she was going to eat. She apologizes, but Kang tells her to step back and calm down, blaming the red-shirted driver who keeps braking. The bus slows down, but takes her to school. There, the same teacher scolds her, asking, "Son, if you don't want to study and want to work as a mechanic, just tell me." He responds, "No, sir." The bus ride ends, and she finds herself in class. During the break, when asked how she arrived early, she says she took a taxi, which caused some trouble. The school announces a 10-kilometer running race, and every second-year student must participate. That night, Kang finds her mother cooking seafood and phosphor for her and her father. She eats, and her father says, "Not every day phosphor in the dark." She replies, "It's for you to eat and study well." But her mind isn't on studying. She loves space, planets, stars, reading novels about aliens, and listening to tapes about the universe, explaining planets and galaxies. The next day at school, just before the race, Kang's friend finds him and asks what he thinks. He says his father promised a telescope if he comes first, but he didn't expect the new girl to be so competitive, warming up seriously and taking it seriously. He tells her to play ball or something, but during the race, she runs like a rocket. Anyone in her way gets hit, but she stops to help a sick student with stomach allergies, giving her ointment and standing with her. She tells her, "Don't listen to magazines, you're beautiful." Meanwhile, our boy runs ahead incorrectly, taking a taxi, cheating, then jumps out to continue running properly and wins first place. The next day, he is thrilled because the telescope arrives Saturday, inviting his friend to watch stars together. Kang, next to him, complains loudly, as if talking to herself. "Congrats on the taxi," confusing him. She tells him not to mind it. The next day, he and his friend try to set up the telescope, but his father yells at him, telling him to come help, and his mother teases him. His father says the telescope will be confiscated, locking it in a room. Our boy is frustrated, wondering about a recent event at school involving the taxi comment, and decides to prank her from then on, spoiling her milk, changing exam papers, blocking paths, etc. But Kang is not easy. She starts avoiding and countering his pranks. Once she pulls a chair to fall on him, but she manages to grab it. Another time, he hides in class, waiting for her to answer, but she laughs at him. He almost beat her up once. And another time, he tried to upset her stomach while wiping the classroom hallway with the mop. She slipped on the cleaning water, nigh Anne again. And the last time, he took her pencil case and put it on top of the blackboard. Since she was short, when she tried to grab it, it fell. And inside was a necklace with a delicate stone cut from China, something clearly very precious to her. That was the end of the Tom and Jerry games. She scolded the moon boy and his friend in the middle of class, holding back her tears with difficulty, and told him to stay away from her and her friend. If they bothered her again, she would show them stars in broad daylight and make them regret the day his mother gave birth to him. The next day, the moon boy was playing basketball casually. As she was passing by, the ball hit our heroine, not on purpose, but she thought it was. She went to fight with him, and one thing led to another until she told him, "Let's bet and play a basketball match." He agreed, though outsiders weren't supposed to enter the court. He asked, "Okay, what's the bet?" Our girl said, "If I win, you'll wear a skirt and do morning exercises in front of the whole school." He replied, and if you lose, you'll shave your eyebrow and leave it. The bet began, and all the students gathered in the yard, even betting money on who would win. He said, "It's just one round, me against you. Whoever scores 9 points first wins. Got it? I'll explain slowly if you don't." She told him, "Cut the jokes and play." He said, "Since you're a girl, I'll let you start." She took the ball from him, stood still, and immediately scored. Everyone was shocked. That first shot counted as 3 points. Though, honestly, I don't know basketball rules. If anyone does, let us know in the comments. Anyway, when the score was 7-6, she tried to make a winning shot, but our boy jumped up to block it. Instead of throwing, she just held the ball and stared at him, flying in slow motion. He thought, "Wow, girl, what's this?" Then he landed badly and twisted his ankle. He said the bet would continue, but they'd change it. Best of 3 matches in different games. She agreed and left the court. At night, the moon boy and his friend revealed that he hadn't been injured at all. He faked it again. I don't know what he gained by pretending, but it looked like he was preparing for her since she turned out not to be easy. That night, our heroine was at home repairing the necklace with super glue. Her mother walked in and said, "When your father went to buy that jade stone, I told him that since you've been so active since childhood, it would definitely break one day." Our heroine drifted into memories of her father when she was little, how he gave her the necklace as a birthday gift. He was a sportsman who taught her every game, ping pong, basketball, because he was a PE teacher and coach. One day, while working, he died of a heart attack. That necklace was his last gift. Her mother brought her back from the memories, reminding her to take care of the necklace. Our girl said, "It was a classmate who did this." The mother asked, "What? Someone laid a hand on you at school, bullying you?" But Neon said, "Nonsense. No one can. Don't think about it." Then the bet continued. They played a ping pong match, and she crushed him, winning the 9 points first. That was her first win. The second was a phone game, where she also destroyed him. She told him, "Look, Beast, I've won 2 matches in a row. Why don't you pick something you're actually good at for the last one, instead of being so weak, Hazem?" The final match was a video game with stationary motorcycles you ride virtually. The moon boy told her to quit before embarrassing herself. She replied, "Come on, Dad. I've got cooking and laundry at home. Let me finish you quickly and go." But this time, he won, making it 2-1. Now it was down to the final game. Whoever won this would win the whole bet. The next game was darts, throwing at balloons. Whoever popped the most would win. The moon boy won again, making it even. Now it all depended on the last match. The next day, in class, the teacher grabbed the moon boy and told him that our heroine was nominated to enter big universities. "As for you," he said, "if you don't get into college, you'll end up running your father's restaurant. Don't drag her down with your silly games and bets. You'll ruin her future. You're so careless that even your school ID has been with me for ages, and you didn't even ask about it." The boy was shocked and asked, "What are you doing with it?" That's when the teacher slapped him and said, "You left it in the taxi. That's how I knew you cheated in the running competition." Kong thought to himself, "Oh wow, so this girl didn't snitch on me after all, even after all I did to her. So, what was the point of everything I did?" He went to class, wrote her a letter, and left it on her desk. When she entered, everyone was staring and whistling, and she didn't know why until she found the letter. Behind her, our boy whispered, "Just don't think it's a love confession or something, okay?" She told him to stop being silly, but he teased, "No, really, looks like you thought so. It shows on your face. Come on, it's time for you to fall in love." The letter said to meet him in the yard. When she went, she found him hanging upside down from the goalpost, doing pull-ups. She walked over, she flips upside down like him, and tells him, "Do we really have to talk while hanging like ketchup bottles?" He says, "Don't ruin the moment. Just let me talk." Then he tells her he's sorry for all the tricks he played on her, explaining that he thought she had snitched to the teacher, but he really wanted that telescope so badly. He asks her, "Haven't you ever wondered, while we're upside down like this, how we're even stuck to this universe? When I asked my dad, he told me to stop being silly and just study, but I kept searching and learned about Newton and gravity. It's what keeps us on the ground. If it wasn't for that, we'd fly away, and if you push further, you'd reach space." He also says he heard from the teacher about her necklace, and he's sorry it broke because of him. Then he continues, saying he's certain that everyone who's passed away, including her father, is watching over them from above. Finally, he tells her he lost the bet, and they don't need to play the last match. The next day, during morning exercises, he shows up wearing a skirt, a shirt, and a hairbow, training in it. Everyone bursts into laughter, but he isn't embarrassed. He laughs along while his friends tease him. Other students form a circle, watching him like a show. Our girl nearly dies from laughter at the sight, until the teacher, who seems to be the only one in this school, shows up, breaks the crowd, and sends them to class. There, he keeps our boy standing next to him and says, "Stay here, Sasan, while I announce the monthly exam grades." Since he's an English teacher, he announces that our girl ranked first in the entire class, while Sasan came in last. first. Then, he turns to our boy and says, "Your grades are fine in some subjects, but you can't stay weak in English like this." He tells the whole class it's mandatory that strong English students help weaker ones. He specifically assigns our heroine to tutor the moon boy for an hour daily after school. She stands up and says, "With all due respect, mister, this boy's brain is wired wrong. If you sent him abroad, he'd come back speaking Chinese instead of English." But our boy blurts out, "No, sweetheart, I'm lazy by choice. If I just focus a little, with a cup of tea and a few hours, you won't even be able to hold on to your first place." The whole class gasps, "Oh, sounds like a new bet, Yang. And you haven't even taken off that skirt yet." After class, when he changes clothes, he finds her and her friend looking at a magazine about the moon, the one in the sky, not him on Earth. She's excited as she reads, and he feels happy she shares an interest in space too. She really starts tutoring him after school, 1 hour of English every day. He throws himself into studying so hard, he even buys sticky notes, labeling everything in his house in English, even the coffee bucket, literally a bucket. His parents sit around wondering, what's wrong with him? Did someone swap our son with another kid? Meanwhile, during their study sessions, he and our girl laugh and joke between lessons. She finds herself enjoying his company, but then scolds herself, "Am I losing focus? What's wrong with me? Concentrate." By the next monthly test, his grades improve a lot. The teacher is shocked. "God, what is this brilliance?" He proudly shows his family the results, and his father praises him. "Finally, my son became a man, studying and taking responsibility." The next night, while studying together at school, he begs her to go somewhere with him. She refuses, telling him to stop being silly and focus. He pleads, "Just tonight, I promise you'll still get your full 120 points if you come with me." He sneaks out of class, and though she pretends she won't follow, her curiosity gets the best of her. A few minutes later, she sneaks after him. They climb to the roof, then up a small ladder to a higher spot. He had brought his telescope there. Apparently, his father released it after seeing his improved grades. While she's busy looking through it, he finds another moon more beautiful than the one in the telescope, the one standing next to him. The moonlight on her face makes her even more stunning. They sit watching the real moon together until the security guard shows up. They run, but there's no escape. To protect her from being caught, which could hurt her reputation and college chances, he surrenders himself. Of course, the telescope is confiscated again. Later, he and his friend eat at his dad's restaurant. His friend complains, "So now you take that girl instead of your buddy to watch the moon?" He replies, "Shut up, you're eating for free." His friend shoots back, "Free? This is your dad's restaurant. Technically, he's the one feeding me, not you." The boy starts seeing her everywhere, even imagining her in every girl who passes by. He's clearly falling for her. Later, the class learns desks will be rearranged according to grades, meaning they won't sit together anymore. When he sees her struggling with her desk, he says, "Let me move it for you," but because his head is in the clouds, he trips, drops the desk on his leg, and ends up in the hospital with a minor fracture and a plaster cast. He worries about keeping up with his studies until Nyan walks into the hospital room and tells him she came to help him study and catch up. Once, he couldn't stand himself, but now she lights up his life. His family welcomes her warmly. Even his father sits and chats endlessly until his mother interrupts. "Aren't you hungry? Let's go eat and leave the kids alone." Our girl then hands him his homework, sits to study with him for a while, and promises to return that evening. He stays sitting there, bored, counting the clock's ticks, tick-tock, waiting for her to come back. Finally, when he can't take it anymore, he says, "Forget this," and hops out of his hospital room on one leg to go look for her, wondering why she's late, but he runs into her right at the hospital door. She tells him, "What the heck? You look like a kangaroo. Who hops around like that with a fractured leg? Come here, come here." She supports him back to the room so they can sit and study. After a while, he gets bored and, honestly, wants to start a conversation with her. He notices some magazines about singers and says, "Looks like you like these guys." She tells him she could listen to this one singer forever and never get tired of him. In the middle of their talk, out of nowhere, he suddenly asks, "Nyan, do you think we can go to the same university?" She stares at him. "Where did that come from? Why?" He blurts out, "Because I'm going to throw myself into studying so I can get into the same university as you." Our girl smiles, almost like he confessed he liked her, but she feels it's more like flirting. She tells him, "But it won't be easy." He replies, "I know. Didn't you see me pass English? There's hope, trust me." After he recovers fully and returns to school, the school announces a state of emergency. Only 99 days left until the final exams, and everyone must push themselves. Most of their days are spent studying in class, surrounded by piles of books. One day, while he's in class, another boy comes to ask our heroine for help with a geometry problem. She leans close to explain it, and our boy can't stand it. He jumps in, "Hey, what's this? Math is my thing. Why didn't you ask me? Come, I'll teach you." And if I see you next to her again, I'll teach you a real lesson. But his explanation is nonsense. The boy doesn't understand a thing. Our girl ends up explaining again, and when our boy tries to talk, she says, "Please, let me finish this problem first." He sulks, grabs his things, and leaves. Later, she runs into him at the library. When she tries to talk, he gestures as if he's zipping his lips shut, reminding her she told him to shut up. She says, "Fine, stay quiet then, Mr. Drama," and walks away to continue shopping. But he sees a poster in the library about a space and stars exhibition. He signals to her, "Can I open my mouth now?" She replies, "Open it before I cut it with scissors." With a goofy grin, he says, "Come with me?" She agrees. The next day, they take a bus to the exhibition. On the way, he keeps dozing off on her shoulder, his head heavy as a rock. She pushes him away 3 times to straighten up, but finally leaves his side. He still thinks he's resting on her shoulder, but when he wakes up, he realizes he's been sleeping on a man's shoulder instead. The man snaps at him, "Go sleep at home, kid, instead of being in a coma here." At the exhibition, they wander around, reading all the info about planets and stars, and even try out interactive models of the solar system. Then they go to a cinema inside that shows a documentary about space. While watching, he whispers to her, "There's this theory that our bodies, made up of atoms, are actually formed from stars, because when stars explode, they scatter their atoms everywhere. During the Big Bang that created the universe, our bodies came from those same stardust atoms." She tells him she feels lucky to have met him, especially when she'd been feeling so lonely, missing her dad. His words make her feel like her dad became a star in the sky, always watching over her. She explains how she's been moving from school to school, city to city, because of her mom's work, never settling down. After the film, they go sit in a rocket-shaped installation designed like a spacecraft. They wear astronaut helmets and get the full atmosphere, sounds, lights, even effects like being launched into space. When the ride ends, they return on the bus. She falls asleep on his shoulder and dreams of being in space with him, wearing astronaut suits, fixing their shuttle together. Suddenly, she wakes up on the bus and realizes she had dozed off on his shoulder. She blurts, "Oh crap." He answers, "You're the one who slept. I didn't do anything." She shrugs, "Whatever, I didn't say anything. Let's just sit." The next day at school, their teacher, the one always chasing and scolding them, gathers everyone and says, "You're my kids. I push you hard only so you'll study well. But remember, always take breaks. Don't pressure yourselves too much." He returns all the novels, toys, and things he had confiscated before, so they can relax sometimes. The students cheer, "We love you, sir. No matter what, we love you." Suddenly, someone shouts that there's a rainbow outside. The teacher tells them all to go look and get some fresh air. Our two are the last to come back, and as they stand there, he whispers to her, "Come here, I need to tell you something." He admits that in the last monthly exams, he ranked 3rd in class, and it's all thanks to her. She says, "No, you studied hard. You did it yourself." He pulls out a little card, like a cute greeting card, decorated with a drawing. On it he wrote, "Fighting Niane," to encourage her for the exams. She smiles and tells him, "I hope all your dreams come true. You can do anything." She pats his shoulder. But honestly, it's obvious. Our boy likes her. Time passes, exams finish, and the results come out. He scores very high. His father is so proud, he holds a big feast at his restaurant, inviting everyone to celebrate his son's success. But our boy is gloomy. His girl hasn't answered his calls or replied to his messages since the exams. He leaves the party and goes to her house. Her mother answers the door and tells him his friend locked herself in her room, upset with her grades. Her marks were good, the mother says, but she insists she could have done better. "I didn't even scold her, I swear," even though she could have gotten into a good university. The strange thing was that our boy actually scored higher than her. He tried to get her to open up and talk about it, but she locked herself away, silent, not wanting to speak to anyone. Later, when he filled in his college preferences and submitted them to school, his parents secretly went to the principal and tried to convince him to change them, since his grades were high enough for better universities than the ones he chose. At that moment, our girl happened to be outside and overheard everything. She walked in with her own paperwork, pretending she was just handing in his forms because he forgot them with her. Of course, she had secretly changed the universities on his sheet to higher ones that matched his scores. He had chosen lower-ranked ones just because he wanted to go with her. When he found out, he went to her house furious, banging on her door and demanding, "Why would you do that? We agreed we'd go to the same university." But she was inside crying, refusing to answer. Finally, when he got fed up and said, "Fine, I'll just go change it back myself," she rushed to open the door, shouting, "Are you crazy? You spent 2 years grinding nonstop, getting these amazing scores, and now you want to throw away your future?" He told her, "Forget the grades. The only reason I worked so hard was so I could be with you, not because I loved studying." She cried back, "Why make it such a big deal. Even if we go to different places, we can stay in touch. But he insisted, no. Either we go together to the same university, or we cut ties completely. She answered, fine then, and slammed the door in his face. He was devastated. Convinced it was over, he prepared himself for university. Meanwhile, our girl stayed locked in her room, barely eating, crying constantly because she missed him. Days at university passed for our boy all the same, his face gloomy, studying, going back and forth with no life in him. He didn't talk to anyone. Then, one day, he got a call from his best friend, who was visiting the area of his university. They met for lunch, and his friend showed up with a girl who had been their classmate. Turns out, they were now dating. After the greetings, the girl asked him about our heroine. Did they still talk? He stayed silent for a while, then said, no, I left her. She knows what's best for herself. Meanwhile, our heroine entered a modest university and lived in the dorms, sharing a room with a few other girls. One day, she came in to find them secretly cooking food, something forbidden in the dorms. When they heard the dorm supervisor approaching, everyone scrambled to hide the food. Our girl tried to tuck things into a storage box on her desk, but while doing so, she found the card her boy had given her on the last day of school. She opened it again to look and noticed a corner of the card was glued shut. Curious, she carefully peeled it open and discovered a folded letter inside she'd never seen before. In it, he had written, even though we fought like cats and dogs from the day we met, somewhere along the way, I found myself pulled toward you. I couldn't stop looking at you. You gave me the courage to study, to chase after my dream. I even found myself running to school every day just so I could see you, when before I used to hate going. If you want to ignore me after reading this, pretend you never saw it. I won't blame you. I'll step back if that's what makes you happy. But Neon, I like you. By the time she reached the end, her tears blurred the words and smudged the paper. She felt crushed, realizing how stupid she had been to throw him away. In a burst of desperation, she grabbed her phone and kept typing and deleting messages to him, not knowing what to say. She was ashamed to tell him anything after rejecting him so harshly. Meanwhile, our boy was busy working on a college project with his teammates. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. The moment his eyes saw her name, his whole body jolted. He clumsily knocked over their project equipment onto his friends. The message was simple, only one line. Yang, would you like to come see the rocket launch with me on the 23rd? When the day came, he stood waiting for her at the top of a hill, rehearsing over and over what he should say when he saw her again, so he wouldn't look like a fool. Finally, she arrived. They greeted each other, and she said, wow, your hair's gotten longer. Then they both noticed. They were wearing the same sweatshirt, the one with a rocket design on it. So they laugh and start walking side by side toward the place where they'll be able to see the rocket. She asks him, this is the first time you're seeing a rocket, right? Our boy says, the last time I saw one was when we were in class before the English teacher came in and locked the TV. God bless him. She says, okay, so tell me what you're doing now. He replies, I met the love of my life. Our girl freezes for a second, like, oh no, I'm too late. But he quickly adds, I mean my passion. I'm studying ultrasound waves now. And he goes on explaining his studies, things about signals, radio, and telecommunication. Our girl laughs with relief, thinking, thank God, he's not actually in a relationship. They keep walking on the mountain, racing each other a little, until they reach the spot where people are standing with telescopes. He asks her, strange that you called me and wanted to meet. Why? She says she wanted to apologize for the stupid things she said the last time they met. He tells her, come on, we're in university now. We were kids. All that high school drama, forget it. But our girl feels like cold water has been poured over her. Forget everything? Everything? Even the letter? She shakes her head and says, no, I won't forget, God willing. Then our boy takes out headphones and shares them with her. They stand silently, waiting for the rocket to launch. Suddenly, a song starts playing in the headphones, his own voice, recorded. They burst out laughing, because honestly, what kind of voice is that? Afterward, he clears his throat and asks her, so, how are you doing at university? I don't mean studies, because obviously, you're a genius. I mean, no crushes? No love stories? She answers, nope, nothing. Long live the singles. He smiles, clearly happy. Before they can keep talking, the countdown begins. The rocket launches into the sky, and right after, they turn to each other at the same time. He says, I missed you. She says, I like you. God is great. She thinks to herself, I don't even remember when I started liking him. Maybe when he spun around dancing in that skirt after losing the bet, or when I followed him to the rooftop to see the moon. And suddenly, I was doing silly things with him, and what he doesn't know is that it was her idea to tell the English teacher that top students should get rewards. The day we went to the space fair was the best day of my life. Even when you fell asleep on my shoulder, I was happy, my heart racing. She continues, or maybe I liked you from the very first time I saw you, before even going to school. That day, I went to buy something from the supermarket. What was it called? Crimshot. And you helped helped me grab it down from the shelf. Then I went to school, and the teacher said I'd sit next to you. I felt like flying from happiness that we'd be in the same class. Maybe it was all just teenage stories back in high school, but maybe I can start new stories with you now. And dear viewers, as you've seen, our girl had been falling for our boy since literally the very first day she saw him. What matters is, now she's confessed, he couldn't stand the distance anymore. He said, "I missed you," and the two are finally together. Thus begins their university love story, the love of grown-ups. Are you kidding? She just said, "I like you now." Please make the movie a bit longer. Let us actually see them as a couple, even for fun. If you enjoyed the film, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and leave us your comments. Bye.